Hello, today we are working on, no, we're done with this unit. So we're working on, and we're done with this unit. So we're working on day 2, similarities and dilations, unit 4. And we are working on this assignment here, finding unknown similar triangles. Day 1, finding unknown sides of similar triangles. So let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, everybody. So let's start by opening to directions for today's assignment. Please open this one. Okay. If you want to translate, remember, make a copy and then you can translate over here, right? Okay. But you got to make a copy first. Okay. So please read this first. This is what we're doing today. And please read the directions. This is what we did yesterday. So please read this, what we learned yesterday, and make sure you read this. Okay. Very important. And also read that. Okay. Okay. Next, this is what we're doing today. So please read this. We're going to use what we know about similar triangles to find unknown sides of a similar triangle. So let's go ahead and do a simple example. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's say we have one triangle here, ABC, and triangle XYZ, and we are told that triangle ABC is similar, not congruent, but similar to XYZ. Now we need to try to find out this side here, YZ, what is that equal to? And we also need to find out this side, XZ, what is that equal to? So we want to find out YZ, what is that equal to? That's this one, right? And this one over here is going to be XZ. What are those equal to, right? Oops, I don't like that. Equals what? I'm going to go like that, okay? So what we can do is, since we know they're similar, since it tells us it's similar, we can take matching sides. So if you remember, if I've got XY, that's going to be the first two right there, right? If XY is 9, that means the first two letters, AB, is also going to correspond to it. So that means we know that XY, so I don't know why it keeps doing that. Hold on. So that tells us that side XY divided by AB is going to be equal to all the other sides. So that tells us, so what is it? So that tells us that this is 9, right? Divided by 6. What is that equal to? If you take your calculator, you can make it equal to, well, it's equal to the other sides, okay? Now, that tells us it's also equal to, what's another matching side? Well, we need to find YZ, right? So what is YZ? YZ we don't know, but that's in the bigger. So you can also put B for bigger and small to keep it straight. So what is YZ? We don't know for the bigger one, but we know that the side that corresponds to YZ is these two. So BC is what? That's going to be these two. So that's going to be 8. So that's a smaller one. So we know that this one right here is that. So how do we solve for that? Let's make that our question mark, right? Question mark. So we go like this. How do we solve for this? Well, what we can do is if we have one fraction equaling another, we can take this fraction and go 9 times 8 is equal to 6 times, we'll make this one x. Let's just make that an x, okay? And then we get 72 equals 6x divided by 6. 12 is equal to x, okay? So that means this one is 12, okay? So another thing we could do is if we get 9 over 6, another option is we can go 9 divided by 6. If we do our calculator, we get 1.5. And then we could say, okay, well, this times 1.5 equals 9. So that means 8 times 1.5, if we do it on a calculator, that also equals 12. So we could do that if we wanted. And then we could take this 5 over here, and then we could go 5 times 1.5 equals 7.5, okay? So that would be this one, okay? Or we could do this again, right? Okay, so that's what we do. So this is going to be 12, this is 7.5, okay? So if you understand that, then you're ready for the assignment. But if not, make sure you ask me a question. So let's go to the assignment. And make sure you download it and open it up in Kami. Okay, so I'm going to do the first several questions with you first. Okay, I'm going to do number one. I'm going to show you how to do it. If you want to try it, you can try it. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. Okay, so if you want to try it, you can pause the video. Otherwise, you can watch me do it. Okay, so first of all, let me make it bigger. Okay, so number one is telling us that these two triangles are similar, right? This one is similar to this one. Oops, what's going on with my marker? Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we're trying to find this side right here. What is this side, right? What is that side? Okay, that's ST, we know that. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so we need to get this side. We need to get this side involved. So that's SR, right? So we need to get SR. So that's going to be these two right there. Okay, and then I think it's a good idea to go big divided by small, okay, equals what? Well, which is a bigger triangle? Well, you can see that this is 13, this is 78 and 48. Obviously, this is a bigger triangle. So let's take the 13 for the SR, that's these first two letters. That's going to go on the small, it's on the bottom, right? Small. Well, what side corresponds to that? Well, it's the first two letters, BC. Which one's BC? That's this one, right? BC. So that's 78. So that goes on top. And what does that equal to? Well, we need to get ST. We're trying to solve for this, right? So that's ST. So that's going to be, let's do this real quick. That's going to be this two. So ST. And that's what, is that the bigger or smaller triangle? That's a small one. So that's going to be, let's make that our X, okay? So that's what we want to find out. What side corresponds to that over here? Well, that's going to be the, oops, sorry, let me make this smaller. So that's going to be the last two letters. So that's CD. CD is 48, okay? Okay, so what we do to solve for that is we go cross multiplication. 78 times X equals 13 times 48, okay? So what is that? Take my calculator. 13 times 48 equals, so that's 624. 624. 78x equals that. Okay, divided by 78, right? Cancels, divided by 78. So x is equal to, so 624 divided by 78 equals 8. So that tells me that the answer is 8 right here. So that's the correct answer for number one, okay? All right, so let's look at number two. If you want, you can try it. Otherwise, I'm going to go through it and show you how to do it, but it's the same process, okay? So let's see. Okay, so they want us to solve for that. So that's VJ. So what does VJ equal to? Well, we've got side for this triangle right here and another side, right? And we got one side for this triangle. So we want this one. So which one's bigger? Well, this is smaller than that. This is bigger than that. So we have to look at the 33. Which is 33? That's WJ. So WJ is the first and the third. That corresponds to JL. JL is from here to here. So that's 44. So that means this one's bigger. It looks bigger. So let's go ahead and set that up. So JL is going to be 44 divided by 33, right? JL, JW, JW right here. And that's equal to, now we need to get the question mark. That's VJ. So VJ is the first two. So is that the bigger or the smaller? That's the smaller. So that's going to go right there. I'm going to make that X again. And what does that correspond to? JV goes with JK. JK is 24, okay? And again, we're going to do cross multiplication. 44 times X was 24 times 33. Okay, multiply these two together and then divide by 24, right? Okay, so I multiply 24 times 33, I get 729, and then I divide 44 by both sides. So X is equal to, this one is equal to 18, okay? Now I'm going to try one over here. There's something that's very important. When you see a triangle like this, what they're basically, it doesn't say it, but they're basically saying this line and this line are parallel. And if you have a big triangle, here I'm going to do a quick example. Let's say I have a triangle like this, right? And then if I do another line right here that's parallel to that, these two are parallel, this line and this line, that means that the smaller one and the larger one are similar, even though it doesn't say it, okay? So if we know that, we can solve this one. Okay, so here it's very important to understand that when you have this line from here to here, it's telling you this whole side from here all the way to that. So that's actually TU, okay? So TU is what? It's 24. But what's 6? 6 is from T to E. EF is 5, but UV is 20. So clearly the bigger one is this one right here. We need to find this side. We need TF. So what is that? First, we need to write our statement, okay? So first we need to write that TU V is similar to, so TUV is similar to TEF. Okay, so TEF, okay? So now we need to get TF in there. So we want to solve for TF, which is the same as TV. But what sides do we have? The bigger one we have 24 and 20. The smaller we have 6 and 5. But we also know the bottom here is 16. So what we can do is we can find a way to get some comparison, okay? So one thing we can do is we can go, let's take this side. This side here corresponds to this side, right? UV corresponds to EF, okay? So that means 20 divided by 5 is equal to what? Well, this one here corresponds to that. Then we could do, the bigger one is 16 from here to here, but we need this one. So that's our X, right? So we can do cross multiplication. We get 20x equals 80 divided by 20. X equals 4. So that's how you do that kind of problem there, okay? All right, so let's see. So I did 1 through 3 for you, but what I'm going to tell you about 4, 5, and 6, it's the exact same. The only difference, and let me write. Okay, so what I want you to do is please read this and make sure to translate it. Pause the video and read it and make sure you understand it, okay? Okay, so what it's saying is the only difference is before it was just question mark, right? Before we would see right here, question mark. What's a question mark? So question mark. And so we made that X, right? We made that X. So the only difference is now we have something like 7x plus 5. So we need to find the X still, but we have a little bit more information. So I want you guys to try to do the setup. Find the bigger one and then find something that allows us to get, but to get X, we need to get RP as part of the thing, because that's where the X is, right? So we need the X. So see if you can set up a ratio, and if you want to pause this, go ahead and pause it, and then I'll set it up. Okay, so this one here, what did I do? So I knew that I needed to get RP in there, right? So that's the 7x plus 5. So what I did is I took two corresponding sides. I started with this one, 156, which is LN, the first and the second, and I matched, so right here, and I matched it with RQ, the first and the second, which was 72, okay? And then I needed to get this one in there, so that's RP, so that's going to be the first and the third, so I put that there. And that's got to match with the first and the third there, which is LN, which is 117. So that's the one I set up. So really quickly, I'm going to do the algebra, but basically what I want you to know is that all these are the same as 1 through 3, but instead you're going to have to have 5x minus 1. But I'll show you the algebra here in a moment. Okay, so what I did is I set up this equation. I did cross multiplication. This times that, right, is equal to this times that. Okay, and then I just distributed, right? You got to do this, and then you got to do this. Okay, and then I got that, multiplied these out, subtracted that, and I got x is equal to 7. Okay.